Howdy. I'm Jackson Studner. I'm the guy who made Nomad. This tiny little thing is a media server. It is a thumb drive media server. Now, don't get me wrong, it's not, jellyfin, MB, plex, nothing like that. But that wasn't the goal. The goal was I wanted to be able to watch movies, shows, read books, listen to music, do all that on the go, right? Same as you would. But instead of downloading the stuff on my phone, I wanted an option where I could preload it all and have it whenever, wherever. You don't need to set anything up on the phone, and you can share that media with people like you would with a real media server. Now, I'd originally looked into building a mini lab, which would have been great, little mini racks. But the power consumption is still way too high for being super portable. I could maybe get it in the car with an inverter, but going camping with it out in the woods, it's not going to work. I'm not carrying it, and they're also quite expensive anyway, so I'm definitely not sticking it in a backpack. I don't want to be taking it through airport security. Nomad, being a thumb drive functionally, is small enough to easily get through. You can take this through airport security, they won't care. You can just stick it in your pocket. You don't have to worry about fitting it in your bag. Oh, it's so big. Oh, it's so delicate. It's a thumb drive. You stick it in your pocket, stick it in your backpack, stick it in your glove box, whatever you want to do. And it's only 5 volts, so you can run it off solar, you can run it off battery. It's super, super easy to use like that. And it makes it very beneficial for settings where you want to properly be off-grid, offline, whatever it is like that. Now, this project has come a long way. I originally never intended to even publish this. Now I am selling them. Link in description, hopefully, figuring this YouTube stuff out. But I highly recommend you build one. If you want to pay me money, by all means, please do. I think they're quite nice. I think they're worth the money. But I would recommend building one. I promise you, it is not that hard. But yeah, that being said, your call. Do what you got to do. Again, I will show you in this video all the features that this thing has. This video is meant to be just a rundown of what this looks like in practice, what it actually is, so people can feel more comfortable with the random dude on the internet who made the thing. As I said, I'm not a professional. I am learning how to do this. I was not going to do this. I am a mechanical engineering major. This was my way of learning how to do programming, and I am still using it as a way to learn how to do programming. There's plenty of room to improve it. And again, I'm always open to comments, suggestions, concerns. If you want to reach out on the GitHub, if you have any issues, if you have any questions, please do. And yeah, without further ado, enjoy the video. And at the end, I'll go over some more of the features. Okay, now we're going to take a look at the web UI. So, starting from the top, we're going to look at movies. Pretty straightforward stuff. These are all placeholders that should be said about this demo. All of the images and all of the items I'm going to show off are just placeholders. When you put your actual images and video files in here, these will show as not a cat and not the Jcorp Media placeholder. You can also change the placeholder to be whatever you want. But in general, movies is straightforward. You can sort A to Z. You can resize. It's just good to have for different screen sizes. And you can search. They're all placeholders, so search isn't going to do much here. Shows is almost the same layout, same situation with the sizing and the sorting and the search. But when you click on one of these, you're going to get the option episodes. They are not sorted into seasons. They are just sorted alphabetically. And that is a limitation. But you will have, the ability to just have a long list. And that's usually good for the portable style. When you play an episode, it will ask if you want to download or watch it. If you watch it, you have the option to play the next episode, but when it finishes, it will also automatically play the next episode. And I think that's a fairly good way to handle that. And then you just have each of your shows. For this, when you make the shows, you should put the show image outside of the directory. So in/shows, you're going to have a subdirectory with all the episodes in it, but the image that goes here should go in that main/shows directory and just be named the same as the subdirectory. For books, this functions like movies. There's in the books folder, you're going to put your PDFs and the image named the same as the PDF. And when you read these, you will just be given the default book reader, whatever it is, your PDF reader for your browser. So it'll open in a new tab. And if you download it, it'll just download as a PDF. Then you have the same resizing stuff. Again, straightforward. Music is a little different. So music, you have the first page is going to be a list of every song on the system, including the ones that are in playlists. This is just a big list. You can shuffle this list. You can sort it back to A to Z. But you also have the option of this button here, which will take you to playlists. And this is just because it can get really, really hard to sort through all this stuff. A lot of people want to have big music libraries. This lets you sort them into playlists. Can be however you want it. It's just a subdirectory in, slash music slash whatever you want to call the playlist, and then you fill it full of songs. And you can, if you play from these, you can shuffle them within the playlist, and if you finish the playlist, it'll loop back to the top, and you can also A to Z to correct it. Going to this page again, you have your same situation down here. You're going to have download, previous song, play, pause, next, and loop, and the loop will loop the current song. It's not the fanciest thing in the world, but it's fairly straightforward. Gallery is going to be images, so you can put images and video in here. Handles videos the same as movies. The placeholder fetching just grabs the first few seconds. You've got basic zoom functionality. It gives you some basic information. And it's not the fanciest thing in the world, but it does give you some more sorting options. It also gives you the ability to list how many items you actually want to have on a page. So you can take this down, for example, and then you can have multiple pages. That's just good for keeping it organized. And then last but not least, we have files, and these just download. So if you click one of these, it will download it, shows you how big it is, shows you what file type it is, lets you sort by file type, just some of the basics. It also lets you sort by size, type, that kind of thing. This is just for anything that didn't fit in the other categories. It'll accept whatever you put in the files folder, it will list here. And as I said, if you click it, it's just going to stream a download. It's not going to actually do anything fancy. Okay, so now the admin panel. So there's a couple things to go over with this. Here's what it actually looks like. There's a lot going on here. At the top here, you're going to have your back to menu button. So this will take you back to the menu, let you jump between the two. You have the option to restart the device. Some of these settings, like brightness, you have to restart the device for it to take effect. You have a button there, so you don't have to go up and get it. USB mode, not too many people should need it, but you have the option. You click it, it'll let you upload files to your computer over USB. I recommend just taking the SD card out, but you have the option. Temperature changes color with temp. Basically, just keep track of it. There's not too many thermal issues, but ESP32s run fairly hot, so you can keep an eye on it there. Here's a list of your basic network information, so the SSID, the password, and how many people are connected. Here's your SD card usage. Mine's low because it's just a test SD card, but yours would hopefully be a lot higher than this. You get a nice little bar, you get a percentage. RGB settings, this lets you just change what the RGB on the back's doing. Admin password, this lets you protect this page, so any old person can't just click on this from the main menu. This will require them to have a password. And the appeal here is you can also disable it. So by default, it's just set to nothing. If you were to save the password as nothing, it'll just be disabled too. Or you can click disable. Wi-Fi settings, again, this requires a restart, but it'll let you change the SSID and password. And it will autofill these ones in with the current ones. Brightness lets you change brightness. Media JSON, this is the important one we'll get to in a second. File browser. The file browser is fancy. It lets you look at all your files, mess with all your files. This is just so you can upload stuff, rename stuff, manage the system without actually having to take the SD card out, without needing a computer. Just a quick way to do it on the fly. Again, it's nice to have. You don't necessarily need it for everything, but it's good to be there, and it'll let you just play around with some of your things. You can download, you can edit, and it's just there as an extra bit. Now, with editing, there are things that you might want to do. So you can edit the front end. You can edit the HTML for the front end, but there's also the ability to look in here. So this is the media JSON. This is a list of every file in the system. And this is how the front end actually knows where to look on the SD card. So it generates this when you tell it to generate it, but it can also do it automatically. So here is the media generation section. If you click this button, it'll reboot the device and automatically generate it, but you can also turn it on so it'll do it at boot. When this is on, if you unplug and replug the device or restart the device, when it turns on, it will generate. It's really nice if you change your files a lot, or if you have a system where you don't have that many files on it. In my case, I have like 100 gigabytes of movies on here. You don't really want that on because it can take a few minutes to generate. You don't want to do that every single time you boot, especially if you're not going to be changing the content that often. So I usually leave that off, but you have the option, depends on your use case. And that's the admin panel. Not too much to it, but it gives you some nice options. So now we're going to take a look at what some of those actual modes look like in the physical realm and what they really look like. So here you can see it going into USB mode, and then here is the media generation. So you can see it list all the files before it will then go into a normal boot and start. Here we can take a quick look at what this looks like on mobile. So this is, obviously I showed the computer, but this is what you'd see on a more mobile device, so like a phone or some tablets. And it's just a quick run through, but it's more or less the same thing, just formatted a little bit tighter. That's all there is to it. Okay, so to conclude, Nomad is meant to be a very bare bones server. It's not meant to be the craziest thing in the world. It's not meant to replace Jellyfin. It is meant to be a travel friendly version. There are a lot of inconveniences. There's a lot of things you got to do. For example, you basically have to get all of these files. You got to hand transcode them. You got to get your own images. You got to do a lot of things by hand. But as having the option to load this thing up once, throw it in your car, and just have it for the next road trip, and just have these things where it works fully offline with you and all your friends and whoever connected to it on their laptops, phones, tablets, whatever it is, I see the appeal, and I'm hoping that you guys do too. So hopefully you can get some use out of it. Go build one on the GitHub, go buy one from the website, whatever it is you want to do. And let me know. You know what? If you have ideas, you have questions, comments, concerns, I would love to hear them. As I said, it's not out of my realm. I'm mechanical engineering. I like hardware. I am learning. I am learning how to do all this. And it's been an experience. I've had a great time. I really enjoyed doing this, but I am no professional yet. If you have questions, comments, concerns, let me know. I would love to hear them. And enjoy the project. That's really all there is to it. I hope and pray that you can get some really good use out of this thing. Thanks for watching. Have a good one.